Oral Summary by Alex Morgan. Focusing new teachers on diversity and equity toward a knowledge base for mentors. New teachers in America are frequently underprepared to meet the needs of culturally and linguistically diverse students. Those mentoring teachers need a bi-level and multi-domain knowledge base. Ackenstein and Anathesis, 2005. The aim of this study was to investigate mentoring programs that would improve the knowledge base of teachers in terms of cultural and linguistic diversity in a classroom, therefore could improve the gap in educational opportunities and chance of academic success between cultural groups in the US. The study hypothesizes that if not given appropriate guidance and support in terms of ethical and cultural understandings, that teachers will rely on preconceived cultural stereotypes and fallacies. The participants for the first part of the study were Leadership Network for Teacher Induction LNTI members. They were given two open-ended items to respond to from a questionnaire. 1. What do mentors need to know and be able to do to help new teachers focus on issues of diversity and equity in teaching? And 2, select one of the things identified from question 1 and provide an example from your practice. Ackenstein and Anathesis, 2005. In the second part of the study, data was drawn from a larger study of the induction network programs. See Ackenstein and Barrett, 2004. Ackenstein and Anathesis, 2005. 15 cases were reviewed of mentor-mentee pairs, and data was drawn from each of these 15 cases. Each case involved a new teacher and mentor working together for at least 2 years. The data that was collected from this part of the study included audio-taped planning conferences in which lessons were planned together and taped reflecting conferences after the mentor had observed a literacy lesson. Interviews with both the teacher and mentor were also conducted in this time as part of the data collection. One particular case was then chosen to focus on at this Lake School. The results for Part 1 showed that 91.9% of LNTI members that took part in the study recognise a pedagogical knowledge for equity as the most essential in mentoring for equity. This appeared in two different ideas: the knowledge of ways in which to educate the students and the knowledge in ways of which to instruct or direct teachers throughout their mentoring sessions to endorse equitable learning. A limitation, particularly for Part 2, is that the study was very limited in its participants. In the second part of the study, there were only 15 case studies done, and whilst very detailed and effective, it may not have been an accurate representation of the experience had by all mentors and mentees. This case was then further simplified and narrowed down to focus on one particular case study. The results did indicate that there is some awareness of the direct impact of a teacher's awareness of multiculturalism and ethnical differences in the classroom. It has been indicated by the study that this could definitely be improved. This study indicates through previous studies that individual relationships of teachers and students is increasingly important in terms of that student's academic achievements as well as their social and emotional growth in the classroom environment. Davis, 2003, Hamre and Pianata, 2006. Whilst the study was incredibly detailed and time involved, there were few participants, leaving it open to criticism for not involving a large enough sample size to achieve accurate findings. This, however, can be counter-argued by the fact that there have been many other general studies completed within the same ideas and aims. This study attempts to highlight the specific need of teachers and mentors in terms of education in multicultural and ethnically diverse environments, particularly in those that are thought to be low learners. This study also highlights how preconceived notions of particular cultures and ethnic groups can be detrimental to the overall success of the teacher in allowing all students to reach their academic potential. Through one mentor and mentee's particular experience, it was shown that there is a culture among teachers who've accepted that these kids are of limited intelligences. These kids are designated as low learners. They are not being treated as 10-year-olds, but as 6-year-olds. It's totally humiliating their intelligence and what they are capable of doing. You would never see that in a white middle-class school where parents are empowered. This quote was taken from a mentor, Sonia, who, having worked in her role for 4 years, reflected on her experiences. This particular statement, taken from the study, highlights the strong need for a different level of guidance for pre-service teachers, and that without it, the students who are culturally different from their teacher do suffer in the long run. This study is also limited in that it only investigates one particular school in America and the predominant cultural differences faced by the monolinguistic Anglo-Saxon teacher in teaching her Latino American students. And due to that lack of understanding, she tended to fall back on stereotypes and inaccurate assumptions. Whilst this was the case for Maggie, mentee, and may have been similar in the other 15 pairings, this experience and therefore the findings are highly exclusive to this individual and the environment she was put in. The study also in some ways acknowledges this flaw through its first part in interviewing 37 members of LNTI, this being a significantly larger number of participants. This particular part of the study indicates that whilst most members of LNTI believe that for a teacher, some understanding of culture and an individual student's ethnical background is important, the methods in which to educate and guide the teachers is not so unambiguously agreed upon as indicated in Table 1. Whilst this is the indication of the results based upon the table, with such an open-ended question being asked in the interview, it is difficult to say whether or not the table truly reflects the beliefs of all LNTI participants in the study. Thank you for listening.